Hey guys, how's it going? This is Sir Jedi Sentinel, and welcome back to Sentinel Reviews. Doctor Who, Series 11, Episode 6, Kerblam. As always, there is a spoiler warning in place, so if you haven't seen the episode, I highly recommend doing that first. And I always start with my overall thoughts, and this, so far, is probably my favorite episode of Series 11. I'll get into the specifics in a moment, but just going through Series 11, most of the episodes have been varying degrees of good. Some of them better than others. I hate you. But yeah, no, what really sets this episode out apart from the other episodes is while the previous episodes were good, again, to varying degrees, this is the first episode I was invested in. I wanted to know what happened next. I wanted to see how this played out. I wanted to find out what happens at the end. And yeah, I thought that was a really solid episode. And I think that's the makings of a good episode. And I like that it was a mystery because for me personally, mysteries have a better way of doing that, of engaging me in that manner than most other types of stories do. So what's the plot here? I have all the talking points in my head. I'm just trying to figure out how I want to order them. Well, the doctor receives a package, from Kerblam with a message saying, "Help me." So the Doctor, Ryan, Yaz, and Graham go undercover at Kerblam, which is basically Space UPS or Space FedEx. Why does putting a space in front of things automatically make them sci-fi? And they go undercover at Kerblam trying to figure out what's going on. Now, I skipped over it in Demons of the Punjab because I feel like every time I do bring it up, I keep talking about the same points, but good gosh, this season is just spectacular visually. Like I said, I feel like I'm adding nothing new, but I do want to talk about this again, but it's just the color composition is so bright and vibrant. Everything just pops. It's eye candy. And I bring this up because this episode opens in the Vortex, and Chris Chibnall's depiction of the Vortex is just gorgeous. And I'm going to try and make sure this is the last time I say it for Series 11, because, again, I feel like every time I say it, I'm bringing nothing new to the table, but I feel like, at least thus far, Series 11 will be the most visually stunning series of Doctor Who. And then, now some of the other points. The Doctor was the Doctor. Jodie was sort of just really going by the book at this point. I wouldn't say she's on autopilot. She's still giving it her all. But there was nothing really spectacular here from the Doctor. Although I will say this. I've started noticing this as I've watched more of Series 11. You know, as the situation in each episode goes on, the Doctor, no matter which Doctor, always drops these little one-liners, and every time I hear them, I go, "Oh, that's funny." Sometimes they're funny enough to get a laugh. Jodie, every time she does it, she always gets a laugh from me. And it's like, a lot of times with the Doctor, it's hit and miss. Sometimes, like I said, I'll go, "Oh, that's funny," but it won't actually get a laugh. Ryan and Graham were just sort of there. We got a little bit more about Ryan here. We learned that his job was in a shipping company. I'm trying to remember if that was established in an earlier episode, because it's a minor point, but we got a little bit more with Ryan. And as he's preparing to go down the delivery chute in one scene, he brings up his dyspraxia again. Finally. It didn't come into play. It didn't cause any issues or anything. He just mentioned it again. So it's like, oh, good. Someone remembered you had that. Yaz. Now, I've said that in the past, Yaz just isn't clicking with me, and I feel like I was going to have to accept that. Here, this episode, she finally clicked with me, and I'm kind of thankful for that. It was at the end of the episode, and so while they were trying to figure out what was going on, everyone went undercover in a different section of Kerblam. The Doctor and Ryan were undercover as... Oh, I'm trying to remember what it was. They were in... It was some form of packaging. Like I said, I'm trying to remember exactly what it was, because Graham was a custodian, and then Yaz was, I believe, something to do with inventory. Anyway, while she's down there, she meets one of the side characters, a man named Dan Cooper. It doesn't come into play too much here, but yeah, and then he dies. Like I said, spoilers, so be ready. And he was talking about his daughter and how he wasn't there for her. And how she gave him this necklace that was really valuable to him. And at the end of the episode, after everything's been solved, shows the Doctor this necklace and said, if this guy hadn't done this for me, if this guy hadn't switched jobs with me, it would have been me who died down there, not him. And then she pauses. And in that pause, I started to panic. It's like, Yaz, what are you doing? No, don't ask this. Don't do what I think you're about to do. And then she says, I want to take this back to his daughter. And I think part of why Yaz clicked with me so much is just me coming down from the panic attack I had at the potential of having another Clara situation. But yeah, it was a nice moment, and I really felt it helped me warm up to Yaz a little bit more. Certainly more than I have in the previous episodes. Speaking of which, the side characters were nothing spectacular. I feel, on the whole, Series 11 has had stronger side characters than previous Doctor Who stories, but here they were fairly standard cutouts. Like, you had the clumsy girl, you had the mysterious man in charge. I did like Judy, though. Judy was nice, and starting off, it's like, oh, you're quirky, but there's something about you that's uneasy, and as the episode went on, I thought she was going to be one of the antagonists, but she wasn't. Speaking of, I'll get to that. But yeah, no, I really liked her. And then the animatronics themselves, the robots, not animatronics, like the Kerblam man. I liked the designs of these things. It was unsettling and creepy enough without being over the top. Like, I feel like, oh, killer animatronic robots. They had the potential to go really over the top and on the creep factor, that is. And they didn't. Like I said, they were creepy enough without being too creepy. They were kind of like the first Five Nights at Freddy's games. The later games, they always tried to outdo themselves and make them creepier, but in the first games, they were just creepy enough, if that makes sense. And I like that design. I'm trying to think what else. Before I get into the spoilers, let me look at my notes real quick. Alright, I talked about that. Side characters I talked about. Okay, I like Twirly. Twirly was one of the earliest Kerblam robots. And I just thought it was... The way the Doctor interacted with him was just fun. Oh, I can't believe I forgot about that. So when one of the side characters disappears, Ryan, Yaz, and Charlie, who is the custodian who was working with Graham and is another side character, I'm going to get to him, go down a delivery chute and try to get to the heart of the Kerblam building and try to figure out what's going on. And just this sequence was, the entire conveyor belt sequence was just really goofy. It was so over the top. Speaking of the robots, good. I cannot believe I almost left this one out. When we start learning more and more about what's going on here, it looked like, for a minute, that the robots and the bubble wrap, which was a bomb, which turned out to be bombs, it looked like it could have gone the direction of it being the Nestines and the Autons. And I'm so glad it didn't. You know, it's like, after Chris Chibnall promised there would be no returning foes, aliens, etc., etc., just to have that come back would have just been frustrating. You know, it's like the Ghost Monuments, where it looked like they were setting up potentially 2 series-long arcs, and thankfully they didn't. Same thing here. And I guess there is nothing more to talk about than the twists revealed and the end of the episode, which I kind of talked about the final scene, but yeah. So it turns out the message the Doctor received was from the system itself. It was from the Kerblam system itself, and I wouldn't say that was surprising, but it's like the way the episode was setting up, it felt like, okay, it's the way things are going, because I feel like we're being misdirected, it feels like it's the robots who asked the Doctor for help. Also, there was a really fun nod to Chameleon, because Graham was talking about how uneasy the robots made him. I'm trying to remember what exactly he said, and the Doctor was like, don't be robophobic, some of my best friends are robots. And I just feel like that was a nod to Chameleon. And anyway, sorry for that tangent there. Anyway, it turns out that the custodian is behind this. And the system figured it out, and it's trying to stop him. And this didn't work. I feel like with a good twist, you can't give it away, true, but you have to build up to it. Like, with that twist, if you went back on a rewatch, you could pick up on it and realize what's happening, and still it being satisfying. It's just, the thing with it here is, it wasn't a satisfying twist. There was no build-up. There was no lead into it. The closest we got was the Doctor's line to Graham about custodians. I forget what it was, but it was like, I think it was something like, you have unlimited access with limited identity or something. It's like, basically you could go everywhere and anywhere in the premises, and because you're a custodian, no one would notice or care. And I just think, I'd have to rewatch the episode to be sure, but I just think that wasn't enough to build up to this twist. Oh, I am almost at 14 minutes. Anyway, closing thoughts. Like I said, this was a good episode. This was a solid episode, and I think I'm more kind of biased because, like I said, the mystery and the story itself engaged me more than previous episodes did. I'm going to give Kerblam an 8 out of 10. But those were just my thoughts on Kerblam. What did you think, and what were your thoughts? Drop a comment down below to start a conversation. Remember to like, comment, subscribe, and then click that little bell next to subscribe to get notifications when I upload, because subscribe doesn't know what it's supposed to do anymore. Also, in the description below, you will find the link to my Twitter, where you can get channel updates and other fun stuff. Possibly. I check Twitter more often than I tweet. Anyway, this is Sir Jedi Sentinel, and I'll see you guys next time.